everyone, welcome back. This is Denise, and today I'm going to paint some bigger abstracts. And I have pulled a big piece of paper out of the Bao Hong Academy watercolor paper pad, and I think they're renaming the Bao Hongs to Meeden, because Meeden and Bao Hong are the same paper, and I think Meeden contracts Bao Hong to make their paper. This is a nicer quality student paper, and I like it because it's 100% cotton, and this 20-piece pad only cost me like $26 for 20 pages versus my very favorite paper, the Hanamulle paper, being 12 sheets. And that price, when I looked at it, they had gone up to like $21 a pad for 12 sheets, and it's smaller. I wish this one came in that bigger size. I wanted to play with the bigger size, but if you get like Arches or one of those, it's even more expensive. So I like that the Bao Hong paper is reasonably priced to experiment with cotton papers in a bigger size. And I thought today I would work in the color cube color palette just to get me started. Just takes away that color anxiety for me when I get to picking things, because I like too many things, and then when you put them all together they don't necessarily all match or go together, and you think, oh, why'd I pick that color? And this takes away some of that anxiety for me. And I'm going to be using Color Cube Volume 2 card 342, and I did kind of flip through these. I was looking for a weird color palette because I seem to thrive with the color palettes that are a little bit weirder for some reason. Those seem to be some of my absolute very favorite pieces when we're done, and I settled on this one, which I have done before, but I just wanted a color palette that kind of called to me today. And I'm gonna do this in my big acrylic paints. I just have a little bucket of them, different brands, doesn't matter what you use there. I don't pull those out hardly ever, and the only supplies that you waste are the ones that you don't use. So I thought that we could pull these out. So I've got a green gold. If you don't have one of these grippers from Golden to open your paint lids, oh, you're missing out. This is the best tool ever, and it's called the Golden Artist Gripper. Golden is the paint company, and I'm thinking green gold. I want to love green gold. I always think it's the name that I like, but this one had the green gold in it, so I feel it's a perfect excuse to pull it out. The Charvin is more expensive. These are artist grade paints, and definitely not necessary. I'm just pulling them out because I have them, and I've gotten to the point where I'm just not using my acrylic paints because I enjoy starting off with a watercolor base and putting acrylic paints and other things on top of that. But this is Payne's Gray, so any Payne's Gray would be fine. And then this is not at all the color I thought it was, so we're gonna put that back. I thought it was this blue. It's not. It's well, I guess we could say that might be interesting, being a pearlescent color. You know what? Let's just go for it. It's gonna be a pearlescent instead of that color, but I thought it was that color. It's called it's the Holbein acrylic pearl blue. And then this one, Winsor & Newton cerulean blue, I thought might not be, but it's close. I don't try to get exact. Like, my color studies aren't like exacty. They set me in a direction, and as long as I get in the direction, then we're rocking and a rolling. And then this is more of a student grade paint, the Arteza, but I like it because you can get all the colors for pretty cheap in one box. What I don't like is then you can't buy big containers of this like you can the other ones. But it's the orange that I had. So this is orange yellow. So it's basically like a cadmium orange. And I'm going to put down some gesso. I like mixing my acrylic paints with gesso, and that includes even the heavier bodied ones. That's clear. And I've got white up here, so I'm going to put down a white because I like mixing white in. I hope this is white. Does it say white? Oh yeah, that's the white. Okay. The reason why I like mixing gesso in is it makes the paints more spreadable and adds some grit, so that when I'm going to go over this in the next layer, I'll get that grittiness that I can then paint on top of with pastels or whatever. Okay, so I'm gonna draw on top of this to start with. I'm gonna grab my Pitt Faber-Castell matte graphite, which is my favorite of these graphites. And I just want to do some big abstract paintings today. I'm in an abstract painting mood all the time, obviously, but I'm in a big, let's do a bigger one. And that paper was a 10 by 15, so I've just cut it in half for this exercise. And so that makes it about 7.5 by 10 when we're done. I put a little border around it with my tape because pulling tape is my favorite thing to do. And then I'm just kind of mark making, getting rid of the white page, adding in some fun different marks that maybe I like that we may or may not see. Just having some fun here. Gets rid of your white page paralysis. Okay, and then let's just start a painting. And I'm going to use some of these Princeton Umbria brushes. I got the 1/2 inch Filbert, and this one is a number 10 3/4 inch flat. Maybe I'll use the flat to begin with. So what are we feeling? I don't know. Let's see what we're feeling. And I'm going to mix the gesso in with the paints. What I like about that is when you do the white one especially, then you get some color variations in there. And so let's just give it a go with the green gold and see. Let's see what we can get. And another thing I like about putting gesso in is I love matte paint instead of shiny paint, and that gesso makes this paint more matte when you do that. And I do like kind of scrubbing the brush personally. That's my own funny way of playing in the paints and getting something different, but these brushes hold up great. But if you've got like a most favorite brush and you're hesitant to ruin it, pick an old brush. Old brushes are better. I've got a couple of new ones of these, but I got a whole thing up here of old ones. And I wanted a bigger one of these, which is why I went with this 1/2 inch flat. And I thought, let's do a pair. I like doing more than one, because then if one don't turn out, then you know you got another one, 50-50 chance of them kind of working. And then I also am going to pull my bowl scraper, bowl, B-O-W-L, that you get these from you know, the kitchen department there for dough, working with doughs and stuff, scraping the bowl when you're bread making and all. And just going to kind of do some mark making in here with that also. And that kind of, I don't know, squishes it around a little bit too. Alright, let's get into this weirdo blue. Oh, yeah. Alright, that was kind of pleasant. And another thing, while the paints are wet, that we might do is take something and drag through. So I usually like doing that with something pointy. So you could do that with, I've got a thing up here that's a clay tool that's got a pointy end to it, and I like to do that and sometimes just kind of mark make and scrub through the paint. And it's just kind of adding to the layers, and I try to do that before the layer dries. Ooh, yeah, like that right there. Oh, there we go, like that. But you can wait till you got more thicker layers on there, but just kind of adds into what we've already started. Gives us some fun layers. I'm gonna get some more gesso in there. This is the clear one, just to give me some spreadability. And I tend to not start in the center, which is why you saw me kind of start around the edges, because composition wise I try to offset things. I don't want it to be centered usually. It's the least interesting of the compositions. A lot of times I like to offset things and think a third to the side, or kind of in a direction where it draws your eye around to things, or maybe we're leading you through a composition with where we place some elements. And so after you do enough stuff where you're doing that, okay, let's jump over here into this Payne's gray. After you do enough of that, it kind of becomes like default mode, like you just set things off to the side to begin with. It might not feel intuitive to when you start, but after a while it gets intuitively easier just to offset things. Let's throw some white in with that Payne's gray. Just kind of move some stuff around and mark make. Ooh, I like that. I like what we did there. And then, the bowl scraper is silicone, so that paint will just come back off of there. And if you've got non-toxic paint, definitely double check your paints before you do that. You could do some finger painting and move stuff around with your hands, or put some gloves on and do some finger painting with that if you're not sure, or if you've got some of those paints with toxic elements in them. I don't know what this shiny one's gonna do, but let's throw some shine in there. Well, if we mix it with one of these other ones, it takes on that color actually. That's kind of interesting. Could have done some stenciling on top of there with that color, but I'm trying to not stencil today, but maybe we should stencil. Okay, I kind of need a different cleaner. Let's see. Let's go in with some orange. I don't know, now I don't want to mess it up. Is the orange gonna mess it up? Oh no! Oh. Okay, we're just gonna oh my goodness. Okay, the orange was kind of bright. Let's throw some white in with that orange. That was orange. Mostly, right? Oh my goodness, that was so bright. Alright, we're gonna love it anyway. Ooh, I like it with the white. Oh yeah, mix the white in with it. Much better. Oh, definitely with the white. Let's do some big splotchies here. Let's just experiment. If you get to the point where you're like, oh no, I've messed it up, then think in your mind, okay, let's just play and experiment and see what we get. Definitely the way to get past the oh no, I messed it up stage. I'm feeling pretty good about that, weirdly enough. Now I'm thinking, let's pull something down here. It's kind of off by itself. I don't want it to just be in one spot all by itself. And, we could pull out some other mark making things at this point, and we could drag this thing through it. Look at that. Ooh, 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 look at that. We pulled the blue through the orange. I like it. Ooh, I like that. Doesn't have to be on all of them. We can just kind of move it around there. Okay, I like how this moved the orange around. Okay, that's fun. Okay, that's fun. Okay, and we've got enough stuff in there too. Let me pull another brush down. I'm just pulling out filberts. We've got enough stuff in here too that I can mark make on top with some other stuff here in a bit. Just using that white gesso as white paint for a moment. I don't know I love it now. Did I do too much? Did I do it wrong? Ah! Okay, let's just squish it around. Don't know that I like that either. Oh my gosh, see, look at each of these pieces, like when you do something like that and throw a funny thought out there with it and ride with that funny thought so that you don't get discouraged or upset with what you created. Okay, I really want that. More blue. I like how this turned out with the more green gold. I like how this color turned out. And I think that is the blue, the green gold, because it had that color in the brush and the white gesso. So, I'm kind of feeling a little bit of some mixing of that and getting that back in there some would make me happier. Maybe not. Ooh, that's kind of fun what that did right there. Okay. Now it's just about doing some mark making and some details, and I don't know, just seeing where we're gonna go. Do we like it? I don't know. It's kind of weird. Maybe I need some stencil work on here. So I think I'm gonna throw these brushes in here. I'll let this dry a tiny bit so we can think about it for a moment, and I'll be right back. Alright, I just took my heat gun and dried this a little bit. And I'm kind of thinking I want some mark making, and we can do mark making with more acrylic paint. Could pull out some stencils if you felt you needed some stencils, but I kind of wanted to not do stencils today. I'm kind of thinking, what if I did some tempera paint on top of the acrylic paint? What would that do? I've got these tempera sticks. These are the King Art tempera sticks. I don't know, like we could pull out the dark and just see, like, could we get some mark making in here? Let me test a tiny corner. Okay, that's too bright. Bad move. Let's squish that off of there. Okay, there we go. Not the right color. Not good. I'm kind of, what about that? It's too bright. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe this aren't good. Let's see. Okay, I do kind of like this color here. What I do like about tempera paints especially is they'll go right on top of each other. They dry pretty quick. These set up permanently, like in 24 hours it says, but you can let it sit for a bit and go right on top of it with something else, and they don't need sealing like pastels, oil pastels and soft pastels. So I'm kind of wanting to not have to seal these, so I'm just kind of coming in here with some marks and just seeing where we can go here. Okay, I'm feeling like that's a good move on this side. Maybe that's dots and dots. I don't know about that. What color is that? Okay, that sounds a good one. So I'm kind of thinking I need some kind of, just like a little movement through here. Let's just do it. Raw. Oh my goodness, I don't know if I like that or not. Oh yeah, this paper does buckle quite a bit. I don't know what I just tossed in the floor there, which I don't like the paper buckling, because then, you know, you get peaks and valleys, but then it does eventually flatten back out, or at least my other ones that buckle do. I know you can leave it on the pad, but I didn't want to leave these on the pad because I wanted to be able to cut it in half first. Okay, so let's do that there. Kind of thinking that I might like some little white dots with the Posca pen. Ooh, I got paint everywhere there. Okay, I'm kind of feeling like just maybe some white dots adding in here. feel like it needs something else. Or maybe we're done. Maybe we should peel the tape and look at it. Because peeling the tape kind of gives you the sense of, ooh, it's finished. And this was kind of a wonky, not going anywhere specific kind of piece. So maybe we're there. Maybe we needed some gold. Do we need some gold? Are you in the always need some gold category? I don't know, I'm not feeling gold. Are you feeling gold? I'm not feeling gold. I feel like I could maybe be there. Okay, let's peel the tape. Ooh, I could do some mark making with, I know I'm waffling on you here, but we could do some mark making in here with a pen or a pencil or some fine line markers that just give us some extra texture in our piece. Okay, so yes, that was a good choice. And I know you can barely see that. But as you got closer, you'd be able to be like, ooh, what is that detail in there? Okay, I like it. I like it. Let's do this some more. You can do it with whatever color. You could use colored pencils. You could use graphite like I'm doing. This is definitely not a minimalist abstract. This is more more is more a kind of abstract here with where we're going, but that's okay. Oh yeah, see, just a tiny bit of that in there just gives your eye something else to rest on, which I kind of like. Trying not to put my hand on the paint in case there's wet spots in there. Okay, I like that. It kind of went, led your eye. I like that. Okay, I like that. Good choice. Okay, now I feel better about that one. Just felt like it needs one more thing, but what was that one more thing? And so for me, it's mark making on top. And if you're a botanical person, you know, throw some botanicals and stuff in there. I wasn't really feeling like this was a botanical direction today. Ooh. Ooh, I like that. I like that. Just a little bit of detail in there. Okay, good one. Good choice. And you might be going, no, that was a terrible choice. But that's okay. That's why we do stuff like this. It's to play and experiment and say, ooh, what would I do different? Ooh, okay, I like that. Okay, that's what I wanted. Okay. Let's peel this tape and see what we got. Okay, these are crazy colors. And I love that the Bao Hong does let me peel the tape off without tearing the paper. I just don't want to do all the paper tricks. I want the tape to come off the paper without it ripping my paper up. Oh, this one's fun. These are definitely some crazy colors. Like, how good did we do? I think we did pretty darn good. Basically working with that color palette. Fun! Oh, look how fun these are! And then once you get your tape peeled, you can then reevaluate and say, does it need anything else? Does it need to live a different direction? Oh, like, I'm kind of liking that there. What do you think about that? Maybe this side. Maybe, well, I don't know. And then we've got, let's see what we got here. Okay, this is definitely outside my color comfort zone. We will say that, oh, I kind of like that there. What are you thinking about that? And then we actually could have two pieces that are kind of sideways instead of, I feel like this is like a monolith that's coming into my piece. I don't know about that. This one, definitely a favorite. Okay, there we go. Hope you enjoyed just experimenting with a crazy color palette today and just seeing where we could go. And I will see you guys next time.